Elizabeth spent the morning as usual, a cup of tea, a walk in the park, and then meeting an old friend at a local coffee shop. She was returning home with a light heart, not even realizing that her familiar world was about to be turned upside down. As she approached the house, her eyes stopped on a bright yellow sheet taped to the door. It read, "Propi my sold. Unewone were wihari wotara in a week." What is this? I didn't sell anything. Elizabeth touched the sheet, hoping it was a mistake. She opened the door, went inside, and immediately called her eldest son, Michael. Michael, what does this mean? What happened to my house? The pause on the other end of the line was alarming. Mom, it's hard to explain. My sister and I decided that you would be better off in a nursing home. Selling the house is part of our plan. Elizabeth could not believe her ears. She had always trusted her children. She had raised them with love, taught them honesty and how to take care of their family. A plan. You decided without me. How could you do this, Michael? Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't want her son to feel her weakness. Mom, we're doing this for you. It's hard for you alone, and we're thinking about your future. But I haven't asked for your help yet. Elizabeth sat down in the living room chair where she had read stories to her grandchildren so many times. All these years, she had worked to create a home where each of her children felt happy. I sold my youth for their happiness, and now they have decided to deprive me of my home. After calming down, Elizabeth decided to find out more. She began to look through the documents for the house. Her suspicions were confirming her signature had been forged. I did not authorize this. This is illegal. Anna, she decided to call her daughter Anna, hoping she could explain the situation. Anna answered coldly, Mom, we did it for you. We sold the house so you could move to a comfortable place. But this is my home, Anna. I don't want to go to a nursing home. Mom, we have already decided. It's the best thing for everyone. Elizabeth realized that her words would not matter. When she hung up the phone, her hands were shaking. Elizabeth felt like her whole world was falling apart. How could my children do this to me? I lived for them, and now they have decided to cut me out of their lives. But she knew one thing: she would not give up. Elizabeth sat at the kitchen table, looking through old photo albums. Each page was a reminder of the years she had spent with her family. But why do those she loved the most now seem like strangers? Elizabeth, a 72-year-old widow, has spent her entire life working as a nurse in a small town in Vermont. She grew up in a family where love and support were above all else. Her dream was to give her children everything she didn't have herself. Personality, friendly, caring, but strong in her beliefs. In her past, after her husband's death, she took on the role of head of the family, helping her children with everything from college tuition to weddings. Michael, a 40-year-old father of two, has always been a pragmatist. He works as a lawyer and often makes decisions without asking others' opinions. Personality, logical, ambitious, but sometimes overconfident in his own rightness. Attitude towards his mother, believes that he knows what is best for her. He sees selling the house as a practical step, not a betrayal. Anna, a 37-year-old mother of three, has always tried to maintain peace in the family. She works as an elementary school teacher and often feels caught between two fires, her brother and her mother. Personality, emotional, sensitive, but not always ready to resist pressure. Attitude towards her mother, she loves Elizabeth, but is often influenced by Michael. Elizabeth has always believed that she raised her children in love and respect. But over the years, she began to notice changes. Michael became more authoritarian, making decisions without discussion. Anna avoided conflicts, trying to please everyone, but as a result, she often made compromises that were not fair to her mother. Elizabeth felt that her role in the family was being minimized. In her memories, Elizabeth returned to the moment Michael and Anna began to discuss her future more and more often. Mom, you can't be alone. We're worried about you, Michael said. We just want you to be comfortable, Anna would add. But at the time, these words seemed caring, not threatening. Elizabeth recalled how a few months ago Michael had asked her to sign some documents. He explained that it was necessary to update the property title. You trust me, don't you, Mom? Elizabeth signed the papers without reading them. She would never have thought that her own son would use her trust against her. Elizabeth invited Michael and Anna to dinner. She decided it was time to have a frank conversation. But what if the answer she received would break her heart? The small kitchen smelled like fried chicken and baked potatoes, and it was her children's favorite dinner. Elizabeth knew that food could ease the tension. Elizabeth's thoughts, she thought a lot about how to start the conversation. How do I tell them that I know about selling the house? Will I be able to stay calm when they start making excuses? Michael and Anna arrived almost simultaneously. Michael, "Hey, Mom, how are you?" He looked confident, even a little cocky. "Anag, Mom, dinner smells great." She was smiling, but her eyes were full of concern. After everyone was seated at the table, Elizabeth gathered her courage. "Thank you for coming. I've been thinking a lot, and I need to talk to you," she began. Michael, "Of course, Mom. What's wrong?" "I found out that my house has been sold, and I want to know how it happened." Michael put his fork down on his plate and looked at his mother carefully. "Oh, Mom, we've already discussed this. You signed the documents." "I signed them because you said it was to update the title." His tone remained calm, but there was tension in it. Michael, "Mom, you couldn't take care of the house by yourself anymore. This was the best option for all of us." Anna looked confused. She knew about the sale, but she wasn't sure how to explain it to her mother. Mom, Michael wanted to do what was best. "You know how hard it's been for you. Hard. You didn't even ask me what I wanted." She focused on Michael. "Do you realize that this house is my life? Every corner of it is full of memories. What makes you think you have the right to decide for me?" Michael answered coldly. "Mom, you don't understand today's realities. And the house needed repairs, and the money we received helped cover the costs of your future." Elizabeth felt her heart clench. Her own children spoke as if she were a burden. "Michael, my future is my decision, and I never asked you to run my life." Anna tried to calm her down. "Mom, we love you. We just want you to be safe." But Elizabeth could no longer listen to excuses. After dinner, Michael and Anna quickly packed up and left. Elizabeth was left alone, feeling empty. She realized that her children no longer saw her as a person with her own desires. Left alone after a difficult conversation with her children, Elizabeth realizes that she can no longer cope alone. But will there be someone to support her in this difficult time? The evening after the meeting with Michael and Anna was particularly depressing. Elizabeth sat in a chair, looking at the photos of her family hanging on the wall. She felt a wave of despair wash over her. Was everything I did for them in vain? She thought, wiping away her tears. Her thoughts revolved around how to get her life back. Remembering her old friend Mary, Elizabeth decided to call her. "Elizabeth, Mary, I don't know what to do anymore. They sold my house and didn't even ask me." "Mary? Oh, Elizabeth, that's terrible. You need help. Emma, you can't be alone in this situation." Mary offered to meet to discuss how to solve the problem. The next day, Mary brought Elizabeth to a lawyer she knew, Georgie. "Elizabeth, I sympathize with your situation. But do you have copies of the documents you signed?" Elizabeth shook her head. "I trusted Michael. He said it was just a formality." "Georgie, this may complicate things, but I'm willing to help. The main thing is to find a trace of this transaction." George advised Elizabeth to collect all possible documents and information. Back home, Elizabeth began to look through old papers, looking for any clues. She recalled moments when she felt something was wrong, but ignored these signals. Why didn't I check everything more thoroughly? Why did I trust blindly? These thoughts simultaneously spurred her on and depressed her. That evening, Elizabeth's neighbor Sarah knocked on her door. "Sarah, I've seen you looking sad lately. What's wrong?" Elizabeth shared her story, and Sarah offered to help. "I know a Sarah. I know a journalist who writes about cases like this. If you want, I can tell him your story." For the first time in a long time, Elizabeth felt that she was not alone. However, even after receiving support, Elizabeth was afraid that her struggle would be in vain. She wondered, will I be able to change anything? Is it worth going against my own children? But inside her, she was convinced that she had to fight not only for her home, but also for her own dignity. Elizabeth decided that she would tell her story to a journalist and prove that she was not ready to give up. After a series of setbacks and disappointments, Elizabeth finds unexpected ways to solve her problems. But will she have the strength to use them? Elizabeth decided to accept the offer of her neighbor Sarah and tell her story to a journalist. They met at a local coffee shop. A young man named Brian was listening attentively. Brian, this is an incredible story. People need to know about how often family trust becomes a weapon. He promised to write an article that would draw attention to her situation and recommended that she contact organizations that protect the rights of the elderly. For the first time, Elizabeth felt that her voice could be heard. A few days later, she received a call from a representative of the charity. The representative said, "We read your story. It's terrible that this happened. We want to help you find legal support." They offered a free consultation with a lawyer who specializes in such cases. This offer seemed like the chance she had been waiting for. Despite the support, Elizabeth felt afraid of the unknown. She was afraid that publicity could further destroy her relationship with her children. What if Michael and Anna never forgive me for this? She thought. But Sarah reminded her that the fight for justice is not only about money, but also about her own dignity. That same day, Elizabeth received an unexpected call from her longtime friend James, who had learned about her situation from the article. "James, Elizabeth, I know how hard this is for you. If you need support, I'm here." He offered to her find additional evidence against her children because he used to work in real estate. This call was a real ray of hope for Elizabeth. Feeling supported from all sides, Elizabeth decided that she could not give up. She started working with a lawyer, collecting all possible documents and testimonies. Together with James, they analyzed financial records that could prove the illegality of Michael and Anna's actions. Elizabeth realized that her situation could be an example for other people who have fallen into a similar trap. While working with the organization, Elizabeth was offered to become a participant in the program to support the elderly. She could share her story, helping others not to repeat her mistakes. This not only made her feel needed, but also inspired her to make a new beginning. Elizabeth began to realize that despite her betrayal, she had the strength to build a new life. Elizabeth knew that the conversation with Michael and Anna would be one of the hardest conversations of her life. Sarah, you have to be strong. They need to hear that you're not going to put up with what they've done. Elizabeth prepared all the documents that the lawyer had collected, including evidence of the illegal sale of her house. Her heart was beating fast, but she realized that this was her only chance. Michael and Anna gathered at the lawyer's house. Their faces reflected tension. Michael, "Mom, what kind of circus is this?" You know we always acted with the best of intentions." "Anna, we did it for your own good. You couldn't have done it on your own." Their words sounded cold, and Elizabeth realized that they didn't even feel guilty. Gathering all her courage, she began. "Elizabeth, trusted you as if you were my children, but instead of supporting me, you left me homeless. How could you do this?" She put the documents in front of them that confirmed their fraud. Her mother's words awakened something in Anna, but Michael remained steadfast. The tension in the room grew. Anna, choking on tears, "Mom, I didn't even know it would go this far. It's all Michael's fault. He convinced me that we were doing the right thing." Michael, interrupting, "Don't listen to her. We saved you from financial disaster." Elizabeth could not keep quiet any longer. "Elizabeth, financial disaster. You left me on the brink of poverty, using my trust as a weapon. How dare you make excuses?" Anna seemed to begin to realize her guilt. "Anna, Mom, I want to make things right. Please give me a chance." But Michael just scoffed. "Fix it. We've already gone too far. Mom, you should stop before it gets worse." Michael's words split the family even further. Elizabeth realized that she would never be able to get along with Michael again. "Elizabeth, I'm not going to let you abuse me anymore. If this means losing you, Michael, then so be it." Her voice was shaking, but she felt strong. The lawyer announced that the case would go to trial unless Michael agreed to a voluntary settlement. Michael refused, but Anna began to think about supporting her mother. Elizabeth realized that she might have to sacrifice her relationship with her son to restore her dignity. The confrontation ended with Elizabeth leaving the lawyer's office with her held high. Elizabeth found herself at a crossroads: fight for justice or give up the fight, preserving the remnants of her relationship with her family. In the silence of her new small apartment, which she had rented after losing her home, Elizabeth sat at the table with a cup of iced tea. Her thoughts returned to the moments when Michael and Anna were children. She remembered how she had always put their interests before her own, and how many times she had denied herself for their happiness. Elizabeth, to herself, was it my fault? Did I spoil them too much? Anna. On the table were the lawyer's documents and a list of possible consequences if she decided to sue. Her friend Sarah, who had always been supportive, called late at night. Sarah, Elizabeth, you have to act. If you give up now, it will mean that they have won, and you deserve better than that. Elizabeth, what if I lose Michael forever? He is my son after all. Sarah, was he thinking about you when he left you homeless? Do something before it's too late. Sarah's were painful but true. The next morning, Elizabeth decided to meet with Anna, who was beginning to show signs of remorse. Anna invited her mother to tea in her luxurious home, which now seemed even more alien to Elizabeth. Anna, Mom, I made a mistake, but Michael made me believe that this was the best option for all of us. Elizabething, you are an adult. Anna, you could have said no. Why didn't you? Anna in tears. Gersq, I was afraid to lose his support. He has always been the leader. Elizabeth realized that Anna could become her ally if she could find the courage to stand up to her brother. After meeting with Anna, Elizabeth returned home with renewed determination. She called her lawyer and confirmed that she was ready to start the legal process. Her decision was difficult but necessary. Elizabeth, to herself, I can't let them use me anymore. This is not just about money. This is about dignity. In the last hours before submitting her documents, Elizabeth struggled with her emotions. She wrote a letter to Michael explaining her feelings. Michael, I have always loved you. But your actions have forced me to choose between you and myself. I choose me. This letter became a symbol of her final farewell to the illusion that their relationship could be easily restored. Elizabeth visited the court with her lawyer, and they submitted all the necessary documents. In the courtroom corridor, she met Anna, who came up to her and said, Mom, I'm on your side. I will testify if necessary. Her daughter's words gave Elizabeth hope that she was not completely alone in this fight. Elizabeth returned home feeling somehow relieved. She knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but her decision to act was the first step toward regaining her dignity. Elizabeth woke up early in the morning as the first rays of sunlight penetrated the thin curtains of her small apartment. There was a cup of tea on the table, but it remained untouched. The documents from her lawyer lay next to her, a reminder of her bold move the day before. Elizabeth, did I do the right thing? Will this path lead me to justice? In the midst of her thoughts, she was interrupted by a call from Anna. Anna, Mom, I know it's hard for you, but I believe you are doing this not only for yourself, but for all of us. Elizabeth, Anna, I hope this will teach us to take responsibility for our actions, and I'm glad you're here. Anna offered to help with the trial and also began collecting evidence about how Michael had manipulated their mother. Suddenly, Michael came to Elizabeth's house. He looked nervous and his word confused. Michael, Mom, I know what I did, but you've always forgiven me. Why is it different this time? Elizabeth, because this time you not only betrayed me, but you betrayed yourself. You forgot that money is not everything. Their conversation ended on a tense note. Michael left the apartment without apologizing, but there was something new in his eyes: remorse. The following week, the first court hearing took place. Elizabeth stood confidently, supported by Anna and her lawyer. Michael did not appear, but his representative said he was ready to settle the conflict out of court. Elizabeth, to the lawyer, I want him to understand that responsibility is more important than money. That's the only way I can forgive him. After the hearing, Elizabeth met with Sarah, who suggested that she participate in a local senior citizens club. There, Elizabeth was able to make new friends and feel supported. She began to share her story, and many were inspired by her strength of spirit. Elizabeth was sitting on a park bench. Children were playing nearby, and the sun was setting over the horizon. She had a book in her hands, but her thoughts were flying far away. Elizabeth to herself, "I have lost a lot, but I have found the most important thing myself." Anna appeared in the distance. As she was walking, holding a bouquet of flowers. "Anna, Mom, let's have dinner together tonight. We haven't been a family for a long time." Elizabeth smiled. "I would love to."